Anyone can spot a good trading setup, but turning that setup into consistent profits, that comes down to trade execution. Today, I'm breaking down exactly how I execute my trades in the VWAP Wave system, from entry to exit, so you can scale precision and not confusion. Let me be clear. Great execution isn't about finding the perfect setup. It's about understanding the overall market context, choosing the right setup that fits that context, and then executing with confidence and proper risk management, not hesitation or recklessness. In the VWAP Wave system, execution is the bridge between a defined setup and a successful, consistent outcome. We don't predict. We read the auction. Then we act with discipline and prudent risk management when the play is there. Let's jump into the charts. Our execution map is built on 3 tools. All right, first we have VWAP with 1 standard deviation bands. Then we have the session volume profile with a designated value area and point of control. And lastly, we have the initial balance. All right, this is the first hour of trading for the regular trading hours. All right, I'm not going to go into detail on the settings. I do have other videos for that, so please be sure to check those out. All right, but these aren't just indicators. All right, these are auction lenses. They tell us where price is being accepted and where it's likely to revert or extend. All right, extension or revert. Before I take any trade, I ask myself, are we in balance, like we are here, or price discovery, like we are here? Are we accepting structure, or are we rejecting structure? Right? Rejection, acceptance. And then which setup of our core setups, or even advanced playbook setups, fits this environment? If we're inside value, like we are here or here, both on the VWAP bands, we're inside initial balance, and this big distribution here. All right, I'm looking to fade the extremes. All right, the extremes to the point of control. All right, from here upwards, or from the top down. If we break out of value and hold, I'm looking for price discovery continuation setups in the direction of the break. If a breakout fails and we re-enter value, this is a return to value setup. And if price pulls back to value in the middle of a trend like it's doing here, I'm looking for the VWAP bounce setup. Execution starts with the entry. So what I've learned over my years as a trader is that reactive precision beats the predictive guessing game. I have 2 entry styles. One is going to be the first touch entry. All right. I start stepping in or scaling in exactly at my pre-marked level. All right. So if we're coming down to lower band like I am here, all right, with the 1 touch method, I am getting in my first contract close to or at the band. All right, I can look to scale in around this area to get the best price. All right. Now I'm also listening to order flow. All right, I'm looking for the sellers to wane on the tape here. All right, and then maybe even start getting some buyers. This is great for scalps. It's fast, and you need a tight stop. But you need discipline if it doesn't react the way you think it's going to react, right? So in this case, we take the same trade. It went pretty far past our band. Now it did go to the lower value on the distribution. So this is still a good trade, fade value area extreme setup, right? So we can scale in from here to here, all right? And if it keeps going, I need to stop out pretty quick. Okay, the alternate execution method is the confirmation entry. This is where I wait for price to prove that it's reacting to the level. So I'm not just getting in at the level, I'm waiting to see the reaction and confirm it's doing what I think it's going to do. Okay? Think reclaims, engulfing candles, delta surges. All right, these are much higher quality setups, but you can get in late. All right, you may miss the move. And the biggest problem with this type of entry method, let's say we're looking for a price discovery continuation play here. You wait for confirmation, you get in around here, and it's really just an anemic bounce on its way down. Okay? With the one-touch method, this would have been a great trade. With confirmation, this would probably have been a losing trade, unless you scaled out a little bit into profit and moved your stop to break even, but even that would be pretty hard, waiting like that. Now, I tend to use both, but I tend to be more of a scalper, and I like the first touch method the best. As soon as it gets to that line for the first time, I'm getting in, and as soon as it moves in my direction, I'm getting out. Right? The more confluence I have at that level, like this, we have value area high, we have the initial balance high, and we have the upper band all in one spot. That's a high conviction level. I'm going to short right here. I will be looking to order flow. If there's relentless buying right through it, I'm not just going to, so there is a little bit of subjectiveness. Now, I particularly like first touch for VWAP bounces or fade setups just like this one. For trend continuation or price discovery, I tend to like a little more confirmation. Okay, then I'll hit it with some more size. So right here you can't really see it that well. Let me remove the initial balance, but there is a wick right here. This would have been a price discovery continuation setup. I'd probably wait for a little more confirmation on this one, move away from it before getting into it, expecting a larger move to the upside so early in the trend in the break. I generally never go in on full size on the first click. Instead, I scale in around the structure, all right, 2 to 4 entries max to get a better average pricing. If price works against me slightly, I will add. If it moves in my favor, I'm already scaling out into my profits, all right? Trying to hold a runner for each of these natural, right, price target areas, right? So trading level to level, all right? The deviation bands, the IB, extensions, all right? These are all valid levels. I always try to lock some gains in early, and then I'll try to let one run with a trailing stop underneath the structure. Now, my stops aren't random. It's generally defined by the market or my risk. So I'll place them, just underneath the structure. If this was a long, right underneath this candle. All right, when I'm doing one touch method, all right, I got to give it maximum risk. So I might, if I get in at this band with one mini, right, I might be able to give it, $500 of risk. As soon as I hit 500, I got to get out, right? Predefined risk. Okay, I'll generally try and move it beyond the next layer. So it could be this value area low or the initial balance. All right, but it really depends on the setup. If I'm scalping, I'll generally use a really tight stop. If I'm trading return to value or price discovery, I'll definitely give it a little bit of room. But if the order flow shifts or structure breaks, I'm out fast. No hesitation. I don't need to wait for it to hit my stop. Here's what it looks like live if you haven't joined one of my live feeds. All right, let's say we've had this big move up. I'm waiting for the first touch of the band for price discovery continuation. All right, I'll define my risk. I'll say, hey, I'm going to give this a $500 risk. All right, as we approach the price, I'm going to start scaling in close to the band. Keeps going. I add another. Keeps going. I'm watching the IB. Adds another. Now it starts to move in my direction. All right, based on these 3 entries, my average price might be this middle one. All right, which is pretty darn good. All right. As soon as it starts moving in my direction, I'm starting to scale out. 1, 2, and then maybe try and hold a runner, which we didn't get in this case, and put my stop to break even. All right. I lock in partials. I try not to chase. If I miss the setup, I missed it. If it comes back down to this layer again, I didn't get it on the first touch, it bounces, I'm not going to take the next one because the next one is much less probability. Okay, so there's no guesswork. We're just trading structure, execution with discipline. And that's how I trade with consistency each and every day. Okay, I'm not looking for huge moves. I'm not trying to predict, the next 100-point move on ES or NQ. Okay, I'm scalping at my levels from level to level because that's how price moves. It generally moves from level to level. Trying to guess how it's going to move through the next 5 levels lowers your probability every single time, right? And if you want to trade lower probability setups and go for bigger moves, that's fine, but you need to be prepared to stop out more often, all right? Waiting for that big move that will finally make up for all your losers. And mentally, that's very difficult for most people to trade, all right? So this is how I trade with consistency, guys. Just like this, waiting for my setups, for my levels. I'll scale in at the level, scale out, lock in some profits, and let it move to the next target and try and hold a little partial runner if I can. Okay, if you want to see these exact trades in action or get feedback on your own execution, you need to join the Discord. All right, I stream all of my trades. You can see the chart reviews I put up. I break down the setups, right, with my community in real time. All right, so you can start by downloading the VWAP Wave Course Setup Guide. It's free, and it'll change how you see the chart forever. Let's hop to this 1-minute chart. All right, you can see how price just dumped through VWAP. Right, we would need to be listening to order flow. Right, if you saw this trade live, there was persistent selling nonstop on tick strike as it dumped through this level. Well, we didn't take this trade because there was no waning in volume. It was persistent selling pressure. No reason to take first touch if the selling hasn't even slowed down. All right, we did get it here though. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below on this video. We trade these setups live each and every day. You can watch my executions live on my trading stream. We go every day from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Discord, and you can see my executions live right on my screen. Hope this helps, traders. Stay sharp out there, manage your risk, and I'll see you guys in the Discord.